This ended up becoming one of my final project ideas for Halloween Mania, which is why we're kickstarting Halloween Mania with this video of SpongeBob Ghost Host. I've been thinking about this episode for such a long time, especially since I used one screenshot of it for my Camp Cola vs. We Baby Bears video 2 years ago, but thinking about this episode now, it's one of the best episodes in the post-movie era, which isn't saying a lot, but it did show me that even after the movie came out, they still had ideals centering around SpongeBob that were considered spectacular. In this episode, the Flying Dutchman's ship has been destroyed due to an incident, and this leads to the Flying Dutchman heading into SpongeBob's house to torment him. But after time has passed, doing the same scale tactics against SpongeBob, he's no longer phased nor scared anymore. And even when the Flying Dutchman tries to scale other people in the Bikini Bottom, it didn't work out, so it leads to him staying at SpongeBob's place for 6 months. Way longer than how Squidward stayed at SpongeBob's place from season 3. Maybe not that long for how it describes Squidward's stay from that episode, but judging of how the Flying Dutchman just isn't the same as he was, it sums up everything that it made me see the true side of the Flying Dutchman in this episode in comparison to Squidward from season 3. I couldn't be able to get into this episode due to so many bad episodes involving SpongeBob in the post-movie era, so after watching this episode and how it aged after almost 20 years, it really feels they clearly know that a character like SpongeBob will get tired of the same stick over and over again. So for me personally, I think that the abilities that SpongeBob has is not having the same reactions of fear forever. Like, he can laugh and cry forever, but when it comes to fear, not so much. But it is a shame that this formula doesn't continue on in future seasons when it comes to the flannerization of SpongeBob. Episodic show or not, this episode really gave me the understanding of the popularity of SpongeBob and why I used to enjoy SpongeBob when I was a kid. In my opinion, this is Flying Dutchman's best episodes for how he's executed on trying to push horror towards other people in the Bikini Bottom, and when it comes to him not being able to scale anyone in Bikini Bottom, even though it's only a couple people before he stayed at SpongeBob's for 6 months, it still led to really good comedy, mainly him trying to scale the person who is sleeping on a mattress in order to get a reaction, and then when he leaves, the person reacts scarily, which this show has done that joke multiple times, but this is also one of the best moments that they capitalize the joke, to the point that I would probably feel the same way if I was this guy's age. The middle of the episode where we see him washed up, everyone would feel the same way of what Dutchman is dealing with, even though that he isn't like every single person in the Bikini Bottom. Everyone can age, except him, and including SpongeBob. But considering that SpongeBob is not taking it anymore with this whole washed up Flying Dutchman thing, he showed him the Power Within video, which gave him emotions, which for the longest time I didn't understand the video itself, but now it makes sense, not to mention that it's visually good even for a TV budget, which is something that I don't usually describe involving SpongeBob, but it kind of shows that the visuals in some occasions in SpongeBob really work, which is saying a lot of how the later seasons go a little too overboard. I think what makes this episode easy for me to sit through the most is mainly the fact that they don't go too far on the designs of the characters or creatures. mainly the Flying Dutchman trying to scale SpongeBob. And since that this was in season 4 before the later seasons, they probably had to up their game in later seasons, but at the same time, there's also a limit of too much to the point that I just can't be able to enjoy the designs in the later seasons, and just found the designs in the earlier seasons good for what they are, so because they don't go overboard. I can understand that they shouldn't do the same designs over and over again to the point that they would get tiresome, but at the same time, judging of how that SpongeBob ended up continuing on, that ended up getting worse and worse with the bad overweighing the good, it's really difficult to overlook everything while they're going a little too overboard to the point that it just ends up becoming slightly frustrating than disturbing. It may be disturbing for people who used to enjoy this show, or maybe who still enjoy this show, but for me personally, I found it slightly annoying, even when I first watched those episodes when I was a kid. When SpongeBob is trying to help the Flying Dutchman scale someone in order to get his pride back, it really feels something that SpongeBob would only do for the sake of making his life better for himself, because this is one of the best appearances and characteristics of SpongeBob in the post-movie era, because he has to put his foot down in order to make things better for himself, which, in all honesty, seeing SpongeBob being this serious makes me see the relatability in him more than Squidward, which is really saying something. If I was in his position, I would do exactly everything that what he's doing from the beginning and end of the episode. But then again, the only retcon that this episode did is having Squidward not believe in ghosts, even though that he did meet the Flying Dutchman probably twice in the Halloween episode and the one from season 3 with SpongeBob and Patrick. And now honestly, he actually deserves to be getting tormented from the Flying Dutchman towards the end. I know that this is supposed to be a way of furthering the story in order to make it entertaining when it comes to the final minutes, but at the same time, it really shows that I can't be able to feel sympathy of Squidward even if I tried. There are so many things wrong with Squidward that it's just difficult to find the relatability when you're literally are being a lot more different than Squidward for how you behave in real life. A very unusual way to kickstart Halloween Mania this year, but I've been thinking about this episode for a while, and with it being one of the final project ideas, it's better to review it this year rather than next year, depending on how I feel. I really feel like that this episode really grew on me as time passed, and it's honestly one of the only SpongeBob episodes that I'm willing to look back on, even if it's not saying much in comparison to the bad episodes that overweigh the good. Although it's sad that we're never going to have these types of episodes again in the present day of SpongeBob, but at least this is one of the saving graces or hidden gems of the post-movie era of SpongeBob. That's literally the only good thing I can say centering around SpongeBob after the movie came out. It may be 20 years old almost, but at the same time I can't be able to get over how bad SpongeBob was. I'm giving this episode an 8 out of 10.